I stared down at the document in my hands, the weight of it pressing against my fingers. The name wasn't David's. It wasn't his signature. It was someone else's. Someone from my past. Someone I thought I had buried long ago. My breath hitched, and my vision blurred. How could this happen? How? My mind raced, and the walls of the city hall felt suffocating. Panic surged through me, mingled with disbelief. This couldn't be real, but the certificate was there, dated, signed, and undeniably legal. My chest tightened, and my heart pounded in my ears. I felt trapped, as if the walls were closing in. My hands trembled, betraying my composure as I tried to steady myself. Thoughts collided, memories of laughter and love with Alex, moments I thought I had left behind. How did I get here? How did this piece of paper reawaken a past I tried so hard to forget? Every breath I took seemed heavier, filled with betrayal and confusion. Images rushed through my mind, the late-night conversations, the stolen moments of intimacy. Alex had been my world once, but then he disappeared without a trace. His absence left a void, a scar I carried with me, a reminder of what could have been. The past was supposed to be just that, a memory. But now it was tangible, looming over me like a ghost I couldn't escape. I studied the certificate again, my gaze locked on the name, so familiar, so distant. This was real. This wasn't some cruel mistake or misunderstanding. It was a binding contract between me and someone I had loved and lost. Questions clawed at my mind, demanding answers I couldn't provide. How had my parents kept this from me? Why had they let me walk blindly into a future with David, believing we were building something pure and unbroken? The silence was deafening. The room around me faded into the background as my thoughts consumed me. Why now? After all these years, why would Alex reappear, dragging me back to a past I thought I'd escaped? The weight of the situation pressed down, leaving me feeling suffocated, helpless. I had no answers, no certainty, only a past that threatened to unravel my present. I tried to focus on the wedding preparations, to push through the disbelief, but every moment felt tainted by the weight of the marriage certificate I held. Alex's name, not David's. It haunted me, whispering memories I'd buried long ago. I went through the motions, smiling for the guests, picking flowers, arranging seating charts, but inside I felt hollow. Every conversation was a blur, every laugh an effort. How could this be real? How could something I thought was a mistake, an illusion, be so solid, so unchangeable? The certificate was there, undeniable and final, and I couldn't escape it. David noticed. I could see it in his eyes, the subtle flicker of concern when I became silent mid-conversation or when my hand twitched at the smallest detail. He tried to hold on to me, but I was slipping away. The connection we once had, so strong, now felt like it was slowly unraveling. "Emma, what's going on?" David asked softly one evening, his voice gentle but filled with worry. "You've been quiet all day. Something's bothering you." I forced a smile. "It's nothing, just wedding nerves." My words were a shield, but they didn't protect me from the truth that lay between us. "I don't believe that," he said, his voice softer but no less insistent. "You're not yourself." "What is it?" I bit my lip, my mind racing for an answer that wouldn't unravel everything we built. But how could I explain the ghost of a past that refused to stay buried? Every moment was a battle within myself. I replayed memories of Alex, his touch, his promises, the way he used to make me feel special. And yet, he abandoned me, left without a word, without a reason. Now he was back, a specter from my past, forcing me to confront a betrayal I couldn't outrun. David saw the change, the walls I built between us. He didn't know the half of it, my guilt, my self-doubt, the crushing weight of feeling like I wasn't enough. The certificate was a reminder of everything I tried to forget, of every moment of doubt that came with loving someone who disappeared. I struggled to reconcile it all. How could I trust David when the past shattered my faith? How could I be fully present when a part of me was still grieving the loss of what I thought I had with Alex? Every silence felt like a chasm between us, growing wider with each passing day. I sat across from Claire at the small cafe downtown. The sunlight filtered through the window, casting a warm glow over our conversation. But inside, everything felt heavy. I took a deep breath, trying to gather the courage to speak. "You're not yourself," Claire said, her voice gentle but firm. "You've been distant. What's going on?" I hesitated, my mind swirling with thoughts I couldn't quite put into words. "It's David," I finally admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "And everything else." Claire reached out, her hand resting lightly on mine. You know I'll always listen, Em, but what are you really feeling? What's holding you back? So I told her. Everything. The certificate, Alex's name on it, the secrets my parents kept. Her brow furrowed as I spoke, her expression a mix of shock and understanding. We need to talk about David, Claire said after a moment of silence. But Alex, you need to let that go. You can't live in the past forever. I nodded slowly, though the words didn't sit comfortably in my chest. It's not that simple, I murmured. He was a part of my life, a significant one, and now he's back, demanding things I thought were buried. Claire gave a soft sigh. I know it's complicated, but you're with David now. He loves you. Truly, the weight of her words pressed down on me, but there was a part of me that wasn't ready to let go. Not yet. Not when Alex's presence loomed over everything. Sitting at the kitchen table, my parents looked uneasy, their silence heavy between us. They exchanged a glance before my mother finally spoke. We knew about the certificate, she admitted softly. We knew Alex's name was on it, and we chose to keep it from you. The world tilted around me. Why? I whispered, my voice shaking. Why would you do that? It wasn't easy for us, my father said, his voice gentle but firm. We thought it was for the best. You were happy with David. We didn't want to disrupt that. But you kept a truth from me, I shot back, the words like daggers. A truth that could have changed everything. They didn't have answers that could satisfy me. How do you explain manipulation when it feels like a betrayal so deep it cuts to the bone? My parents, the ones who were supposed to protect me, had chosen to shield me from reality at the cost of my trust. The call came in the middle of the night. Emma! His voice was smooth, almost affectionate, but it sent chills down my spine. It's been a long time. I sat up, my breath catching in my throat. Alex, I breathed, his name feeling like poison. I'm back, he said simply, and I'm not leaving without what's mine. You can't do this, I snapped, my voice trembling with rage and fear. You can't just resurface and claim what never belonged to you. But his confidence wasn't shaken. The certificate is legal, he reminded me, his tone cold. That marriage, our marriage, still exists, whether you like it or not. Tears blurred my vision, but I didn't let them fall. David is my future, I said firmly. You're nothing but a shadow of the past. Alex's smile was almost cruel. Are you sure about that? You're about to marry someone who doesn't even know the truth, someone who'll never truly understand you. Every word cut deeper, but I fought against the pull. I couldn't let him win. Not this time. The weight of Alex's words sat heavy on me. I tried to focus on David, his love, his trust, but every glance in his direction was a reminder of the past. Alex was right. David didn't know the whole story. He couldn't. How could he compete with a love so intense, a history so deeply entwined? Every moment felt like a battle. My heart yearned for peace, but my mind was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. How could I choose between the past and the future when both felt so inescapably connected? The room was tense, too quiet. David and Alex stood on opposite sides, their eyes locked in a heated stare. I sat in the middle, the weight of both their expectations pressing down on me. Tell him, Emma, David said, his voice strained. Tell me the truth. I can't, I said, my voice trembling. Not everything. Why not? Alex pressed, his tone sharp. You've been hiding behind secrets for too long. Let them go. The air crackled with tension. David's gaze softened, but his frustration was evident. You're mine, Emma, not his. I don't belong to anyone, I countered, my voice rising, and I won't be manipulated. Alex smiled, a dark, twisted smirk. Was manipulation? Or simply taking back what's owed to me? The room erupted with emotions, shouting, accusations, tears. In that moment, the truth became a battlefield. And I was left standing in the chaos, unsure of who would walk away victorious. The morning was crisp, the sun shining softly through the stained glass windows. It was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, the day I would marry David. The air buzzed with anticipation, guests mingled outside, and the ceremony loomed ahead. I sat in front of the mirror, staring at my reflection. For a moment, everything seemed perfect, until David's voice broke through the quiet. Emma, he said gently but firmly, his expression shadowed. Where's the marriage certificates? My heart stopped. What? I managed to whisper, confusion swirling in my chest. The one you've been hiding, he pressed, his eyes narrowing as he searched mine for answers. It was in your bag. How could you keep something like that from me? The world spun around me. David, I was going to tell you, it's complicated. But his gaze was cold, distant. Complicated? You're marrying me, Emma. You're supposed to trust me, not carry secrets like this. The world spun, commissioned something, complicated. Tears burned my eyes as I looked down at my hands, trembling. It's not what you think. Then what is it? He demanded, his voice rising slightly. You owe me that much. My breath hitched. Alex, I whispered, the name feeling like a stone in my throat. It's Alex. Silence fell between us. The air was thick, charged with unsaid words and aching truths. My voice quivered as I continued, spilling the story I had buried for too long. He was someone from my past, a piece of my life I thought was long gone. We were married. It was a mistake, a betrayal. I thought it was over, but my parents kept it from me. They didn't tell me the truth until now. David's face shifted, the shock evident in his expression. You were married to Alex? I nodded slowly, yes. And when he found out about you, he resurfaced. The certificate, it's legal. David's jaw clenched, his breath coming faster. And you didn't tell me? I couldn't, I said, my voice breaking. Every time I tried, something held me back. Guilt, fear, maybe even denial. But it's real, David. It's always been real. The silence between us was deafening. His stare was intense, searching, trying to grasp the enormity of the confession, and then, without a word, he turned away. The hum of engines shattered the quiet. Heads turned toward the entrance, where a sleek black car sped into the venue's driveway. It skidded to a stop, and out stepped Alex, his suit sharp, his presence commanding. A hush fell over the guests, whispers growing louder. What is he doing here? Someone murmured. Alex's smile was smug, victorious. Hello, Emma, he called out, his voice smooth and confident. I hope I didn't miss the party. David moved instinctively, stepping forward to confront him. This is my wedding, he said, his voice a low growl. You need to leave. But Alex was unfazed. Actually, he said with a flourish, this wedding involves me. Legally. His eyes locked onto mine. We're still married. A gasp rippled through the crowd. That's impossible, someone shouted. It's true, Alex continued, his voice steady. And now, Emma has to honor that. David's hands curled into fists. You can't do this! You don't own her. But I do, Alex said smoothly, legally and emotionally. The tension snapped, the room descending into chaos. The guests erupted into heated debates, some siding with Alex, others with David. Whispers of doubt and anger filled the air. David's face was pale, his eyes shadowed with hurt, disbelief etched into every line. I stood in the center, torn, between two men, between two versions of my past and future. Alex's words echoed in my head, feeding the doubt. You don't deserve him, he had said. You never could let go. David stepped closer, his voice low but filled with anguish. Why didn't you tell me, Emma? How could you keep this from me? I was scared, I admitted, my voice nearly a whisper. Scared of what it would do to us. To you. And what about us now? His voice cracked. Is this real? Or am I just another chapter in your tangled past? Alex watched us, a predator observing his prey. It's too late, he said softly. The past doesn't let go that easily. Tears streamed down my face, blurring my vision. I love you, I whispered, turning to David. But I don't know if I can fix this, not with him here. Alex's smirk deepened. You can't. The days after the wedding debacle felt like a haze. Every moment was a blur of confusion, pain, and unanswered questions. The memories haunted me. Alex's smug smile, David's shattered expression. I couldn't escape it no matter how much I tried to distract myself. I found myself sitting by the window, the city lights flickering below as I let my thoughts spiral. I replayed the confrontation over and over in my mind. Every word Alex uttered, every glance David gave me, it was a tornado of emotions leaving me breathless. I needed clarity, but my emotions were a storm of guilt, betrayal, and a sense of lost control. Slowly, I began piecing things together. Alex had used the certificate to manipulate, to force me into a situation I hadn't fully understood until now. It was no longer about love. It was about control, about power over my choices. That realization was a weight lifted from my chest, though it came with its own pain. The more I thought about it, the more Alex's motives became clear. He had planted himself in the middle of my life not because he wanted me, but because he wanted to ensure I couldn't move forward. His words had been carefully crafted. Every jab, every insinuation designed to unnerve me, to make me question everything. David had stood by me, unwavering, even when the truth unraveled. His patience and understanding had given me space to process, to see the manipulation for what it truly was. Man. And in that clarity, I realized that Alex's control was fragile, a false reality built on deceit. He had made his move, but now the cracks were showing. His power over me was slipping, and the more I saw through his facade, the more powerless he became. With each passing moment, I felt a shift within myself, a strength I hadn't known existed. David's love wasn't a tether, keeping me bound to a past I couldn't escape. It was a foundation upon which I could rebuild, a safe haven where I could be seen, heard, and understood. I chose him not out of fear or obligation, but out of a desire for something real. His love was not conditional. It didn't hinge on controlling me or manipulating my choices. It was simply about acceptance. Flaws, past mistakes, and all. David's embrace was different now. It held no judgment, no strings attached. It was pure and comforting, a balm to the wounds Alex had tried to inflict, and in that embrace, I found peace. As the final moments of the wedding crumbled, Alex's facade cracked under the weight of his own deceit. His desperate attempts to regain control were pathetic, his grip loosening with every second. The guests watched in stunned silence as his smug confidence waned, leaving him exposed for who he truly was, a man grasping for power he no longer possessed. David stood beside me, his strength steady and unwavering. Together, we watched as Alex realized his defeat. His words fell flat. His manipulations lost their sting. There was no victory for him, no reclaiming of what was never his to begin with. And as Alex walked away, his ego bruised and his influence shattered, I felt a sense of closure. The pain of betrayal had been replaced with clarity, with the knowledge that my choices were my own and no one could manipulate them anymore. David's hand in mine was a promise of growth, of love, and of a future built on trust. The past no longer defined me. It was merely a chapter I had closed. The weight of the past tugged at my mind, but I refused to let it define me anymore. Hand in hand, David and I stood at the threshold of a new beginning. A step forward into uncertainty, but one we were choosing to take together. I squeezed his hand gently, feeling the warmth of his touch grounding me in the present. It was strange how something so simple could feel monumental after everything we had been through. The memory of Alex's face still haunted my thoughts, his manipulations lingering like a ghost I couldn't quite shake. Yet, as we stood there, the air between us felt different. There was no longer the tension of unfinished conversations or unspoken truths, only the steady rhythm of trust and understanding. I inhaled deeply, savoring the calm moment before the flood of emotions threatened to overwhelm me again. My thoughts drifted to the moments of doubt, the self-blame, the confusion, but I realized something crucial. Growth wasn't born from perfection. It was born from the moments where everything seemed to fall apart, and we had the strength to rebuild. David gave me a small smile as if he could read my mind. His gaze was soft, a beacon of reassurance that we were in this together, not just for today, but for all the days that followed. "You okay?" he whispered, his voice steady yet gentle. I nodded, my lips curling into a faint smile. "Yeah," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm learning to be." There was no pressure, no need to force the healing process. We had time to listen, to feel, to grow. And with that, we took another step forward, towards the life we were building together, beyond the shadows of betrayal and manipulation. I closed my eyes briefly, feeling the weight lift as the sun warmed my face. Every mistake, every painful lesson was shaping a stronger foundation for what we were creating. Not perfect, but real, authentic, and full of possibility. The past might try to creep in, but it would no longer dictate our future. With David's unwavering support, I found the courage to walk forward, not as a victim of circumstance, but as someone who had risen from the depths of heartbreak, stronger and more aware of what truly mattered. Together, we were unstoppable.